Welcome back, Talent League. It's our third and final game of the evening. I'm still Pastor, still joined by Pooball. This one should hopefully be a banger. Ice Force Esports versus Feuer Frei. And correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, this is a rematch.
It's a rematch from the very long time ago of yesterday. These two teams played, and I'll give you a spoiler, they played on the exact same map we're going to today. And I happen to be the one casting them, so I'm getting quite the feeling of deja vu here.
Yeah,
Previous outing resulted in a 7-5 win for Feuer Frei, quite shocking as Ice Force is really kind of bigged up as being the
yeah,
big dogs in the majority of these tier 3 tournaments that they're in. By the way, Feuer Frei took that win, and Ice Force really looked quite shaky in that matchup. They were playing a very reactionary style. One thing I noticed, particularly, was the fact that they would learn from the mistakes of their previous round and then seemingly forget them 2 rounds later. They would never really consistently hitting all those boxes that they needed to for a good defense or a good attack, and it cost them a lot of rounds and allowed Feuer Frei to end up not only beating them but getting 3 points out of the venture. So this time
yeah.
they're back with a vengeance. I believe they were the ones to settle it as Chalet. There were 2 maps remaining, and they wanted the rematch. They clearly feel like
Yeah.
they should have won that last matchup, and they really want to prove it here. So we're going to Chalet once again for Feuer Frei and Ice Force.
Yeah, let's see if we can get that map veto up just so we can see how the entirety of it went through on stream. But yeah, we said it was uncharacteristic, I think you could say, from Ice. This is a team that we've spoke about before. They've been in Challenger League. This is a team that
Yeah,
have that experience, and you can see Labs was actually very nearly played here. It made it all the way to the last round, but we're still holding out. Still no Labs, Joe.
still no labs.
Still no Labs, which I really want to see to pass the Labs at some point in this stage, but that's just me. Do I think that Feuer Frei can repeat success, though? That's the question that's on my mind. It's probably the question that's on your mind as well. Do we see a repeat of that success? Ice Force, they have, full coaching staff behind them. They've got, again, they've essentially got a Challenger League tier lineup. You've got in that coaching position who will have been doing a lot of that research. For Feuer Frei, they have the coach of Sawyer with them as well. But again, it's a team that finally have that org support, and hopefully for their sake they can bounce back after yesterday's loss, because we can
Hmm.
both agree it did not look like Ice Force.
Yeah, it was uncharacteristic, and this is a roster that I think quite rightly, as you said, we put very high expectations on. They
Yeah,
came second in GSA, only just being edged out by that 2022 Wild lineup, who they even beat in the group stage 7-5. If you just
yeah.
turn back the clocks back then, so they beat very good teams throughout GSA. Then they did, I
There's only one
believe, make it
difference.
into
Is
CL at some
Yeah,
point. I'm not
yeah,
sure if it was 2022 or the year prior, but either way, they've played with the big dogs throughout Europe, and they've really
yeah.
managed to sort of keep track and stay sort of near that level. So this should be a win for them, but we saw how things turned out last time. They can't afford to really put their feet on the brakes. They have to just keep going, really. They have to just maintain that pressure, maintain the pace, and then they will hopefully get this win. But Feuer Frei really looking for lightning to strike twice here. Getting 2 wins over Ice Force would be incredible for them.
I mean, it absolutely would. This is a massive game for them to kind of prove that it wasn't a to prove that they have what it takes. Obviously, we saw in that game one. Actually, Feuer Frei played on Chalet then as well this week. Sorry, in this season of Talent League. It was an 8-7 loss to Barney's Trusted Dinosaurs. The pressure seemed to get to them a bit too much. Donati walked away with the MVP of the week, though. But again, Chalet, they had some pitfalls. They appear to have done better against Ice Force, but again, it's a question of can they repeat success. These bands, though, aren't looking like anything too ridiculous. We've got the Montaigne Dockerby off the board, pretty standard, maybe not like the most common, but still
Hmm.
very, very unsurprising and non-notable. And the defensive bands probably even less.
Yep. These are almost the exact same bands we saw
Oh,
yesterday, with the only difference being Feuer Frei this time taking away the, I believe, I think they're flipped on Wikipedia because otherwise they've banned essentially what each other banned. So I think last time Feuer Frei were the ones to ban out Monty and Fenrir, and Ice Force were the ones to ban out Takaibi, and they picked Solus as well for their defensive ban. This time we're seeing that Valk ban, so I guess sort of prioritizing more of that kind of active intel. Maybe they just wanted to bring that Solus along themselves. They feel like they can really get more usage out of it. That might just be the thing that really takes them over the edge, puts them over Feuer Frei here. But it is interesting to note that this is really looking like a very, very similar matchup. And unfortunately, I don't have the stats on sort of sites picked here, so I don't fully remember if this was the same site that Feuer Frei picked first, who also started on their defense yesterday. It may well be. We may well just be in for a kind of direct repeat of events here, but Ice Force, I'm sure, hoping that they can this time do things differently, not throw away these rounds, and actually get points out of this endeavor, preferably all three.
We head into this very first action phase, or maybe the 13th action phase if you want to think about it like that. 12 rounds yesterday, coming into the game here today. Just to say, one difference about that GSA squad is that we don't have Tangoro on this squad anymore. Instead, we've got Icox, who himself has been around GSA and Outward specifically as well for quite a while. Ice Force certainly better and present here. Frei themselves have certainly as well been a sort of constant presence back when they were with Istanbul Wildcats as well, when they were all just Cowboys team that certainly know their way around. They've made it to open qualified playoffs for majors, which I don't actually think you can say for the Cyclones. So, you know, there's at least something there that they have the up on them. Bodov, though, taking a lot of early damage.
Yep, takes up damage, but crucially, still alive, still has keeper barriers generating in his pocket, so he can still keep being a threat, keep peeking these windows and keep wasting time. And Ice Force, they realize this. There's more and more players just stacking up, trying to hold his escape options, trying to hold for potential peaks here, but they really have to make a move here because Bodolf is quite wisely just playing it passively. Eventually, though, Icox does find one that's Guttero off the board, immediately bringing Ice Force back into things, back into this man advantage here, and Bodolf forced to get a bit aggressive now. You can tell he really wants to even out this man count. He wants to keep Feuer Frei really in the driver's seat here, but it's a risk. It's an incredibly big risk, in fact, much more aggressive than he was once before, as Shox holding his flank here. Feuer Frei, you can tell they're a bit on edge here, but Ice Force now are the ones playing much more passive.
Yeah, just waiting for Feuer Frei to get too aggressive for them. Donati, I think, has found a double kill, or at least it was a Frostmat's Icox getting this and down. But there comes a swing. Bodov from above finds two. Shoxel's downed, but Kano still injured as well. Koji taken out by Turner. Indeed, it was Frostmat, the order of the day here, into a 2 versus 1 Feuer Frei. We ignore these down players. Gilly finds first, nearly lining up for him. And now Bodov can't go for this swing. And there it is. The revive nearly came through and caught in two minds. Feuer Frei take advantage. A scrappy first round, but they get it done.
It really looked like Ice Force got incredibly desperate by the end there when they didn't really need to. They had the man advantage, right? They can play for trades, and instead they just sort of forgo clearing library. They go all in on a push forward. They even try and get a plant down with 2 members, I think, dropping to Frostmats. No coverage above at all either, so that planter was effectively a dead man, so I'm honestly perplexed by that previous attack. I wasn't expecting it. I was not expecting Ice Force players to just decide, you know what, maybe let's just die. Because that is essentially what happened there. There were no real countermeasures in play. It was all down hoping that the final players could try and pick up the pieces. And to be fair, they nearly did. It got down to an effective 1v1 with a couple down players on either side. But still, Feuer Frei ended up taking that round, and that's the most important part. So they spring themselves up 1-0, already in the advantage here, wanting to continue that after yesterday's matchup. They just want to keep staying in control, really, here. If they can keep the ball in their court, Feuer Frei very likely to win this for a second time.
Well, I'll certainly be happy with that one. They didn't necessarily have the best start to the campaign in either of these Tier 4 leagues that they're playing in at the minute. That Week 1 loss in Talent League, we 8-7-2 Barney Trust Dinosaurs, and in the other league that shall not be named, 7-1 loss to Blue Bay. Equally worse. Nade comes through. Feuer canister, the ball Falcon is going to set off, but in front of that EMP shot will just get pulled at the wrong time. But was that an impact grenade through the drone hole from Badolf? I believe it was, has taken this breach from Ice Force, and they're just getting out of there. They don't want to waste all of their reinforcements on this, all of their utility. They're getting out of there. That snowmobile breach staying close for now.
Yeah, and that's a nifty little trick. I remember it got a lot of sort of attention when Chalet was first reworked, and then it kind of just fell into obscurity. It's a bit risky. The lineup isn't great. You always risk actually getting shot by an attacker there, but once in a while you go for those plays and it pays off, and Gutero continues this already sort of good round for Frei, takes down Scarex, the Yana gone. No more nades either, as Icox has used up all his. There's intel on the Legion player, and Koji might just have to make a play here, but he's stopped in his tracks immediately by this setup from Frei. Just keeping these attackers at bay consistently thanks to all these lines of sight opened up. Koji does not feel safe moving here at all, and for good reason. Donati nearly takes his head off there, doesn't quite get the shot, but he does land at least one on the body, and up close Shoxel finishes things off. Frei once again looking to make this 2-0.
And they're looking pretty good for it. 75 seconds, the players upstairs now rotate back to reinforce this bomb site, to have more players actually holding on the site, so it's not a player advantage wherever Ice Force elect to send their attacking forces. Frei, very good spot. Ice Force, question of what they can do here in this late round, and it continues to tick for them, and they don't really have any form of attack going for them right now. Just sending more drones in, trying to find any form of angle. We've still got players on the top floor as well. Icox, Pano, Killy, caught in this decision. Maybe Killy could go for a breach here. He's certainly looking to try for it. Icox as well with the vertical. C4 up though, deals with him. He manages to find the bandit charge before he goes. Still 2 versus 5. Killy being taken down as well. Pano at least finds one, denying a flawless round. And Gutero gets a bit too aggressive for what he should have been, but there's a kill onto Killy. Bodolf being the player to find that. A double for Pano, but that's all it is for Ice Force. Frei, very successful defenses here, 2 rounds in a row.
Yep, Pano tried his best on those stairs, nearly gets 3, but still, there's no way he's surviving the 4th player there, so unlucky for him. But Ice Force really seemed quite lost at the start of Chalet here, and that's sort of making me at least quite nervous, because they themselves picked this map. They wanted to go for the kind of rematch here. They banned out Border, I believe, as their final ban, bringing us to Chalet. So they clearly felt confident in their game plan. They clearly realized that, well, at least they thought that yesterday's match was sort of thrown from them. It wasn't, I guess, a deserved victory for Frei, and they really want to set the record straight, but they just simply aren't doing that. And only a number of those rounds can really go by, I think, before the real mental effect of that starts hitting them. You know, they could have gone somewhere else. They could have made this a drastically different matchup if they chose a different battleground. Instead, they wanted the repeat. They wanted to really rub it in. And this gamble just simply isn't working for them. Frei now going to Kitchen, so this is what they believe to be their tertiary site at the very least, which should give Ice Force some kind of inlet here. A good attack on this top floor to gain that map control quickly will set them up nicely for an execute, but last time, yesterday, their executes looked messy. Their roam clears even looked messy. They were very much a kind of patchy team yesterday. I hope for them that they fix those flaws, because if they haven't, this is going to continue to go the way of Frei, I think.
And they look even more confident than we saw in that week 1 against Barney's Trust. Perhaps a little bit unprepared shots, although, again, exuding this confidence, this arrogance even, to try and find this kill onto Pano, who has now spotted out that Maluki inside a fireplace. Took a little while. Possibly could have even gone for a pick there, but here comes Bodolf up to as well. The room opened up above him. Just phantom pressure. Ice Force not actually applying any sort of actual presence gunfights sightlines towards that angle, just opening it up, making the defenders a little bit more uneasy. 50 seconds gone by Frei. They're being pushed back a lot of places. Now, Quaterna and Gutero have had to fall back to this sort of back piano position from those more advanced locations that they once were, but still very much looking in control, I think, here for Frei with a minute gone.
Yep, Ice Force, they still don't look very confident there. You pointed out they opened up the ceiling above Badolf, but there was no even attempt at a pick. They just wanted to keep him on his toes, but that's not really going to work out. You need to deal with this Solace, who can be such a real pain in the backside, especially when it comes to the execute, thanks to that gadget, thanks to those impact grenades as well. But Ice Force just aren't choosing to deal with that problem head on. Instead, they're slowly encroaching on that top floor. We saw a very fortified position around Piano. Donati as well, holding their backs, looking towards this double window. So there's a very sort of fortified defense up here that Ice Force still aren't really wanting to push, as Donati here holding a very nasty angle, but still has his attention split between two potential entries. Elsewhere, the rest of these Feuer players have kind of realized that Ice Force have been taking a very long time here, and it's primarily focused on the top floor. We see peeks through hatches, peeks through the exposed floor as well, as Scarex finally breaks that kind of silence, goes towards bathroom, but hasn't found a pick as of yet.
Actually, Ice Force has gone down to Guttero. Scarex thinks that the Martin just finds one second, not going his way. Donati finds that kill. Shoxel another. Pano at least gets that trade on. There's still a 2 versus 3. Feuer Frei in the advantage yet again. Koji and Pano, the last two players standing for Ice Force inside of this round to try and take it over the line to get their first before the impact trick goes out. Hard breach now gone to Pano. Koji still has 2 hard breach charges himself, but he's still on the top floor. Pano has the case in hand as well. He's going to be the one that's going to find this angles as the drop comes through from Quaterna. They know where that player is now in the basement, but they know where the push is coming from. Pano gets taken down. Koji drops the hatch and can't find anything. Quaterna shuts it down. Feuer Frei's 3rd round on the board. It was even a wall bang, Joe, just to symbolize how bad things getting for Ice Force Esports.
It's
oh man,
this has got to start really affecting their mental, right? They have now gone 3-0. They've now allowed Feuer Frei to go through their entire site set rotation, which is really kind of where things start to get a bit panicky for the attack here, because now Feuer Frei can just repeat the sites they've already won here. A 6-0 half now on the table, as Ice Force have still not really shown many signs of life here, I guess. They aren't that good in their run clear. They then try and get a sort of panic execute going, but the utility being used by Feuer Frei completely shuts that down. Great impact trick, just easiest thing in the world there for the defense to stop that attacking assault. So it's really just not looking good for them. They need a drastic change in the way they're playing these matches. Once again, back on this bar gaming though. This time, you need to see a proper sort of conversion on that pressure on the top floor. Previously, Ice Force, they went in early, they got a bit open, they got a bit of damage exchange, but then they never actually committed to clearing out library, and they were struck by it. This time, they can't allow that same mistake to happen, or else it might just be over. It honestly might be over. If they demonstrate they can't learn from their mistakes, this is a one match for Feuer Frei.
Yeah, it was a round 1 by drop match as well. Can't quite remember the again this time around, and it was when the pressure got too much of Ice Force, they couldn't deal with it. Donati now takes down by Icebox early on. Bit too aggressive maybe from Feuer Frei, and of course certainly not shying away from these opening gunfights necessarily. They do manage to get that one. That's a good start for them. Able to take down a player who's been doing pretty well. Only 2 kills, but 5 assists for his team, doing damage, getting things done for them. Guttero, though, is able to get another pick onto the reverse. Yeah, look at that, where Donati was playing in front of the bar, just the long angle from main door, but sits now at 4 versus 4 with another untraded, unarmed pick.
Yep, unfortunate for Donati there, just not really paying attention to Fireplace. It's oftentimes not really the first part of contention for the attack, but I guess that 1 in 20 chance, unfortunately, just didn't go his way there. But Ice Force still don't manage to keep on that advantage for long, and in fact now in a disadvantage as Quaterna there gets the pick on the Oryx and can just slink away, really, providing more of a distraction, more of a time waste for Ice Force. At the very least, Pano seems to have read into that. He doesn't bother chasing for the kill, and now he's going primarily focused towards Fireplace. Nearly takes down Shock, so he's really been that kind of power player for Feuer Frei, but still, he's afraid of the potential of a flank. That's the great thing about what Quaterna has done. Sure, he's ran away, but he could always just run back. Ice Force have to keep that in the back of their heads, but instead, he just pops up for a heads-up gunfight and takes him down. Ice Force now really looking very, very poor on this 4th round. 2 versus 4 as Feuer Frei look to make it 4-0.
Yeah, and they almost certainly should be. They're still on Thunderer, who's made incredibly low. Scarex as well takes a gunfight. Hold on a second here, Joe. suddenly Ice Force might not be looking too bad after all. It would be a 2 versus 4 should they let this happen. But still, you've got Shoxel. Still, you've got Cortana, who are able to get these things. Dodging the flashbang. The second one goes through again, not finding any purchase. Shoxel watching this angle. Set up for a crossfire. There goes another flashbang. This one is going to Cortana, but no, it's gone too far down the stairs. And there's a kill from Shoxel. Attention diverted and kills found. Feuer Frei up to 4 of Frei.
A punt was attempted there. We'll leave it up to the chat to see if it really hit. I respect it at the very least. I respect the pun there, but still, this is nothing to joke about on the side of Ice Force. You're now 0-4 here, and the ego might have been the enemy all along. They wanted the rematch, and it's not going well at all. No. They just haven't really shown any signs of life yet again. The roam clears, still struggling. You get Cortana, especially that round, just popping in and out of various angles, taking down picks, wasting time as well. And it really just led to Ice Force having a very sluggish attack that fair play to them. Their individual talent nearly allowed them to pull back. It was a 2 versus 2 at one point from a 4v2, but still, the defense is winning that. They have the setup, they have the time advantage, and that Ice Force, once again, losing a round that I think yesterday they probably would have won, but I think their confidence really rocked, and the worst part is I don't even know if they are fully aware of that. It might just be a case of inherently they're kind of just playing shaky without sort of consciously realizing it, because they're still not really trying anything new. At the very least, though, we are going to see some new operators this round. Pano on the Ram, so another showcase of Siege's newest attacker, likely going to be used around Fireplace to rip up that floor. Koji as well, bringing the Osa for, I believe, the first time this matchup, so a bit more of a utility-heavy lineup for Ice Force might be what they need to try and put a single round on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would be, if this were to go 7-0, it would be the 4th 7-0 in Season 10 so far. 3 of those have been in contenders, by the way. In Challengers and Masters, we haven't seen a 7-0 yet. All of the other 3 have been in the contenders division. Maybe there's a little bit more of a skill gap, but here, you know, I would want to say it's close to fought matches, but right now, Frei making it not look likely. There's a kill from Shoxel. Eric's would have been dead from the C4 of Gutero anyway, had that kill not been found. Achilles been taken out as well this time. This Cortana, who himself is on 6 kills, and you look at the kills on Feuer Frei before that last round at least, you had Shoxel on 6 and everyone else was on 3, apart from Donati on 2. Very, very even still now. There's the hop in from Pano, called out by Cortana. They're just handing him the pin from the plate. And Pooble, I reckon this one might just be over. It's a 1 versus 5. Koji will at least hope to deny the flawless, I guess. The 1 versus 5 looks unlikely. It's honestly an unreasonable expectation for any player, but especially from what we've seen from Ice Force thus far. It might as well just be game at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you know how serious of a situation this is for Ice Force. You hit me with the Pooble there. I wasn't expecting it, but that's how you know things are getting grim. And Feuer Frei, on the other hand, are absolutely loving it here. Like, there's just no... They're getting just fed free kills, as you said, at this point. It seems as though Ice Force are maybe sort of one bad round away from just giving up here, really. A lot of that play sort of screamed to me that they just don't want to... They just want to end it. They don't want to put up a fight anymore. We see players vaulting in through piano. Doesn't go well for them. We see players just waiting outside because the rest of their team is dead. Still, somehow, doesn't go well for them. Budolf really just eager for the kill there. And it's brought Feuer Frei up to this 5-0 position. They really want to make it a 6-0 just to rub it in even more. A 7-0 win from Feuer Frei here to capitalize on the kind of stress that Ice Force might be feeling here and reinforce themselves as the better team would be unbelievable. It would be a great morale boost. It would be a great way to continue this kind of resurgence we've been hoping for from Feuer Frei. Because this is a team that, although it has a lot of history in sort of Tier 3, Tier 4 leagues, ever since being picked up by Feuer Frei, things haven't really been going well at all. They have consistently been sort of losing matches that maybe you would have pegged them to win, and despite having the new org, they haven't really experienced the kind of new org buff that we've seen from a number of teams.
Yeah.
However, it's finally kind of kicking in, and we can't say the same for Ice Force either. No, they're not getting a new org buff either, because they're currently 5-0 down in the rematch of the century here, and it's looking like it could even be a 6-0 as Ice Force have now just... It seems like they've opted in for a full sort of frag-heavy lineup. Ashe, Yana, Zafir, Twitch, and Ace all being brought here. Very good guns on the side of Ice Force. Let's just see if they can make it work. Put up a bit of a fight.
Reloading. As that solid. Clearly, Frei feeling more comfortable, confident to go for the slightly unorthodox weapon choices, trying to deal with this Twitch drone who's spotted them out, but I mean, potentially even an imp grenade going out. We now know that nobody's on that drone. Still opportunity to try and get more aggressive shots. And the doll looking towards that window elsewhere on the map. It's just more droning, more control being gained. Vodol, however, is spotting out these drones as they come over from that southwestern side. Frei, they're not giving anything to Ice Force right now, it feels like. Obviously, you know, as soon as I say that, it's likely that a pick comes through from Ice Force, but, you know, that's just the way things are.
I don't even know if the caster Curse can save Ice Force here as a Gemini taken down by Guttero, at least revealing that there's a heavy defensive position here, but you could obviously assume that it's the exact same defense they employed in the previous time. I believe that will be round 3. And still, Frei finding quite a lot of success, just burning the clock, only half the round remaining here. As there's finally a bit of an engagement. Surprisingly, neither of those players died. It seemed like that was very much going to be the opportunity where the first pick arose, but still, Frei are being allowed to live for a very long time and maintain positions on this top floor. Granted, they've at least been pushed back, and Killy, I believe, Koji, just gets one. Unfortunately, traded out immediately. Icox taken down. Frei not going down without a fight. They want this flawless half. They want this flawless match. And they're going to make Ice Force work for even a single round win.
However, there is another kill that comes through from Ice Force. This time, it isn't traded back by the side of Frei, who are still holding on for time, but it's still looking like Ice Force maybe might have a buy into this round to deny that flawless half, deny that flawless game, even as flashbang comes through, or even the stun, but they just don't know what time is there. Still prepared to take that gunfight, 2 versus 4 for Frei. Now the only player left on the site, he's taken down himself. It'd have to be some massive heroics from if they get this one across the line, but it feels like Ice Force may be gifted a new lease of life here by Frei, getting too aggressive, too confident, paying for their hubris. At least Shoxel finds 1 pick, but there's still 3 left to find. Diffuser now planted by Killy, and this one should be around for Ice Force.
Yep, vertical angles as well, this time helping the attack, so Shoxel is just trapped outside of his own bomb site. Still 10-1, so he might just want to save the KD, or maybe be the team player, go in for the attempt. It looks like the attempt's being made. A beautiful shot, actually. Scarex taken down, and things become doable as it's a horizontal war, but unfortunately Killy ends things, takes down Shoxel, and, well, they at least win a round in this half, but Ice Force still left licking their wounds as they head onto the defense.
I mean, a 5-1 is really not ideal at all.
Nope. That's the light way of putting it, I guess.
That's the long and short, I guess, from that. You don't want to be in that situation. 5-1.
Yep.
Such a mountain to climb for Ice Force, and it all begins here. Round number 7, defending kitchen dining. No top floor. Listen, it's been a long day.
It's been a long day
from Icox, so maybe slightly off meta. Obviously, we're seeing Castle have a bit more play, a bit more of a resurgence in pro play, but still definitely not standing chance, especially for the top. It's just to really try and shut off the ranks from Frei, and to me it showcases that maybe a little bit scared of Frei.
Yeah, that's definitely a way of sort of stopping the fast push that they maybe fear Frei is going to employ, is by putting down a great big bulletproof panel that they have to invest at least a bit of utility on. But we're in a sort of place in Siege where a lot of attackers have a lot of bits of explosive utility. You have those bombs, you have Sledge being brought most of the time, Zafir as well, actually seeing the playing phase here, so that's another way of destroying those barricades. Even if you wanted to, you could invest a grenade as well from a distance, so these castle barricades shouldn't be sort of surviving for very long. It's just a case of how much time can they really waste here to give Ice Force an opportunity to win some more rounds, but I think definitely the mental aspect is there. They are just too afraid of Frei sort of rolling over them now.
One thing to point out, Shoxel's playing Grim. So confidence from Frei, it seems, is not shattered whatsoever. Killy's taking a lot of damage, down to about 50 HP. The impact grenade used to kill just one drone. It's again, maybe a little bit sloppy, a little bit of panic from Esports. Killy is downstairs. I don't think he knows that Cortana's here. They are certainly aware of each other now, and it's the kill from Cortana's come through. Opening pick for Frei yet again. Continuing this momentum on their attacking side and looking to maybe secure this 7-1. Obviously, they beat Esports yesterday in a different league 7-5 on the very same map. Being that storyline we've been talking about the whole way through, but this one just looks far less close. The Natus found pick as well. 3 versus 5.
Yeah, and we were saying really the only blatant sort of difference heading into this was that ban phase with Solus being seen as, well, Badolf is taken down, but it doesn't seem to matter too much. It's still a 2 versus 4, and Solus, that operator that has this time sort of evaded the bans, we thought maybe that's the kind of hidden ace up their sleeve that Iceforce needed, but round 1 of their defense, no, Killy immediately taking down that operator, and we're back sort of to where we were yesterday as Feuer begin to take this site this time. No Solus to detect that plant, and vertical play coming through anyway, taking down that defender downstairs. It's just Scarex alone, at least manages to get one. That's Donati taken down, but a 3 versus 1 post plan with the potential for an escape outside those windows is basically unwinnable for the defenders here of Iceforce. Scarex, he can pad his stats, certainly gets a great pick there. Triple on the round. It would have to be an ace to win, but it's looking increasingly unlikely here, Cameron.
That it is Joe Poobel, as obviously is your full name.
Of course.
Only really 10 seconds left to do this. Obviously, the defuser takes 7 seconds to disable. The time is continuing to go down. Scarex, can you do nothing? Oh, match point already for Frei.
Yep.
This is grim. This is really, really grim for us.
Well, we saw Grim last round, and it didn't go too well.
Complain when I do those jokes.
Well, I've got to get my own back. We got to do after you hit me with the 4 Frei. I got to get a pun in there. Okay. Anyway, you get to see more Grim. Shocksoul's going back to it. Speaking of my ventures in the casting world yesterday, I watched Unlimited pick Grim about 5 times, and every single time the player was killed before he threw a single B out. So make of that what you will. I've heard murmurings that Grim is actually this hard meta pick as we enter what could be the final round here. Maybe that's what Feuer need to take things over the board. It has its potential, and we've seen it. Last match, right?
Yeah.
Clearing that library, it wasn't used effectively, I've got to say. They weren't really prepared for the intel that they received. They still got some intel out. So there is definitely potential here, but we're not even going to see it. Never mind. Shocksoul, he's decided to prank us a bit. Going on that hard breach, the more consistently useful operator, I would say, in that Hibana. Obviously, I was going to say no mirror to worry about, but mirror's not actually banned here, but strangely enough, not being brought. So usually the Hibana would be great at trying to clear out that mirror window, but I guess they'll just have to deal with destroying the wall with it.
Yeah, find out about Grim as well. We saw, I think, Budapest 5 bring along that Grim earlier. We saw Lovenov that 1v1 before, 1v5 playing Grim in the quals actually. When
it was, yeah.
He got the 1v2, used the B to get a kill, to get the final 2 kills actually. So yeah, we've seen it before. Grim has its uses, but Shocksoul, like you said, not opting to use the Grim inside of this round. Instead, again, more traditional Hibana. Still an interesting choice, considering that that player on the hard breach is currently 11-3. It's a very impressive scoreline. Bodolf struggling a little bit more with it as Koji's found a double for himself. Gutaro as well taken down alongside his IGL of Bodolf playing that sledge. No nades now for this Feuer side. Both of those grenading operators being taken out immediately.
Yep, and it just puts Feuer in a very bad situation early on. So Iceforce, great picks from them, specifically from Koji, going out, finding those 2 picks there. Really should, if we're just playing, sort of seeing it how it is, he should have won the round for them right here. There is very little chance that Feuer should really be getting back into this. As you said, no nades. It's going to have to be based on gunfights. And Cartona wins his at the very least. Koji taken down. Kitchen control gained. But Without the nades, there's nothing they can really do from this position. There's a player above them, they have the intel, but no nades to do it. But Cortana just shoots him with a DMR instead, and suddenly, despite that great opening, a tale we've seen far too much this match, despite a good opening from Ice Force, Frei easily claw it back, and once again, pressure back on this German roster.
Cortana has found the kill lead inside of this game. It's still been working in the background. It's been all on Shoxel for so long. This time, Cortana 12-2, which is an incredibly impressive scoreline, especially if we're only in the 8th round of this match, and it could very well be the final round of this match. Donati watching those stairs. At least the proximity alarm give away some positioning, but I don't think there's any defenders close enough to hear it. Ice Force up against it. Frei up against the time though, and that is going to be a worry. Skerrix has found a double, make it 3 in the end of the round. Ice Force, they stay breathing for at least one more. They take us to round 9.
Yep, I guess the big thing there for Frei, they completely neglected to really challenge Library head-on. They went for that sort of wider roam clear through the office, through the bedroom, ended up getting to Library corridor, but then were just cut down by Skerrix and Cameron. You know what would have been a good thing there? You know how to get intel on that player, Cameron?
Grim?
Bees.
Yeah.
Shoot the bees through Library. You can get active intel on that player behind the wall. Still, Skerrix, they seemed to know where he was, and he just completely outskilled them. So maybe the bees wouldn't have been as big a bonus as you might think, as Shoxel once again initially locks in the Grim, but instead goes towards the Ram. This time, not going to be a basement defense, it will be Kitchen again, so they're going to have to go above to get any value out of this operator, any real value out of this operator, unless they go for an incredibly committed roam clear, I guess, on the Solace, who'll likely be playing in the basement, but that would be a lot of utility invested onto a completely sort of irrelevant floor. So once again, we're going to be seeing a second floor attack from Frei here. Really, the round should be won based on how quickly they get through this defense here. It looks like there's a heavy investment up there. 4 players there I saw at one point, so it's going to be difficult for them, but they definitely have the tools for the job. They have those entry operators, they have those fantastic players in Shoxel and Cortana who are really just having life games right now. So Frei, as long as they sort of get their priorities in check for this attack, things should go well for them.
Will that happen?
Who knows?
Who knows? Well, technically the players do at this point in time that you're seeing us at home, because we have just 3 minutes left, which means this round will be over. We will find the players already know what the result of that game is. Lion Scan comes through with Killy in place, at least for the duration, but he's still creeping up, and it doesn't feel like they know. Darkero taken down, a lot of damage dealt onto Killy as well, but it's an opening pick for Ice Force, and again, all of the frag grenades of the team taken off the board immediately. Cortana looking like he might try and find this kill, this collection, but Killy's able to kill him! Killy! How are you able to do it? Koji's found a C4 as well in the meantime. This one might just be a flawless from the side of Ice Force.
It really might be, and that could be the thing that reinvigorates them here, right? Budolf, unless a messy gunfight, I think we can call that. And a bit of unfortunate gunfight that it was caught on camera. But this could inject some life into this Ice Force squad. They've had... Really, the rounds they've won, they've kind of just sort of slipped on by almost, but that was a very, very dominant win. And granted, it was mainly down to individual heroics from Killy and Koji getting in on the mix as well early on throughout all that chaos. But it was still a dominant win, and it still allowed them to go back down to the basement, which they really preferred early on. They looked to be wanting to go there, so they can once again reattempt this site, see where it can take them, see if they can really continue to keep this ball rolling, get to 4-6, and suddenly you're only 2 away from them. You can, well, overtime is certainly in reach. It's still not a guarantee by any means, but it's much easier. Every round you win, obviously, it's much easier, but still, they have this 3-0 deficit as it stands, as Skerrix hunting for drones on that library stairway, just using the Solace ability to its fullest to get rid of any of these information gadgets as quickly as he can, which should allow for them to really sort of strangle out that overall intel game of Frei here when they actually get onto their attack. As Budolf is on the Kali, Cameron, an operator that I think many people agree, very much useless, especially considering all the alternatives. a bolt-action rifle like that just doesn't really fit in Siege. But Rodolphe, either way, 6-3 up, he's decided that might be the key to success. I don't know if I trust him.
Yeah. I mean, you know, he's the captain of the IGL. He can, I guess, do what he likes. On this roster. But Payno is actually the one who wanted the first kill, playing this Aruni with the MR, and that's the Grim gone. No more Bs in this one. And,
Very sad.
yeah, truly true.
I love seeing the bees in play. Sometimes they have some nice highlight moments, but a lot of the time, unfortunately, it does kind of end up like a similar situation where Shox tries to peek, just gets taken down immediately. So a good start from Ice Force here. They're maintaining control around Library, but Frei, we've seen them make explosive plays before. They could still very much surprise us here. They've got nades on the board, particularly an important thing here. So Killy's by no means safe here. Not a single nade denial operator aside from those Aruni gates, and even then, they're only in 3 specific places. So Killy, quite wisely, backs away, holds a long angle, and doesn't quite see his opportunity to get a shot there. So Frei, only 1 man down.
And still opportunity to bring it back. Still got half the round left to play. But again, Ice Force seem to have a bit of a run of momentum. Icot's playing the well, which mean that time ticking down is almost doubly as important for both of these sides, as they have some red pings, have some information on the players upstairs, but they've got to transition all the way down. They've got to try and find these pictures. It feels like they're almost chasing ghosts. Obviously, we do still have Killy up here, and he's not able to find the same success this round as he did in the last. The Quaterna finding that kill, but he has been a massive time sink. Only 50 seconds left. Bodolf now entering the map, obviously going to have that SPSMG out for himself, because you can't really do anything with the Kali sniper. I guess maybe they're trying to counter the clash with it and making these patches fairly quick, but that's really all I can think about. There's no, like, Hive, no bandit to clear meat. So here we go, yeah, absolutely just defusing it, but Koji's found a double with a C4. And suddenly, all of that utility now wasted, all of that pressure that they could have had, and he's managed to find the team. What? Turner.
What?
Communication in this team is not there. It's just not there.
10 seconds remaining.
That really was kind of the icing on the not very good cake of this round, as Turner doesn't want to give away his life to a clash, just runs away, potentially fishing for a final exit kill. And that right there is the real problem with Kali. It forces you to tunnel vision. It's such a high magnification scope, it literally forces you to only focus on where your reticle is. So it's great. You can counter that clash, but you aren't aware of 90% of what else is happening towards you. Nitrocell just gets thrown out. Kali's so slow with that sniper rifle out. Easy double kill for Koji, and we're at 6-4, Cameron. This is where it might start to get a bit nerve-wracking for Feuer, as they've let such a big lead slip away. Only 2 rounds separating the teams now, and I certainly wouldn't want to be in this Feuer camp here, because that's when the sort of tensions are going to start to really rise, as they're still on this attacking side. What should be a 50-50 map as well, so they're by no means on that really disadvantaged side, but it just seems like Ice Force continuing to sort of just play with them in these rounds, continuing to always be in control. Feuer look like they're starting to run out of ideas and starting to turn to more sort of wacky strategies, like the Kali pick. Instead of just playing normal, instead of playing what was worked, because they've had so many sort of losses in a row in these rounds, they're starting to think, okay, maybe we need to make these drastic shakeups, and these drastic shakeups really, when you look at them logically, aren't really going to work. Like a Kali pick there, very ambitious, very bold, very brave, doesn't work out for them, allows Ice Force to keep pouring themselves back into this, as now they're on a bar gaming defense. Very strong sight for them. We saw Feuer didn't really attempt for a library clear last time, so now I'm intrigued to see whether or not they go for the same decision or if they change up their plan a bit.
One thing to point out in the kills department, it feels like Shox has been in 11 kills forever. He was 11 and 3, 11 and 2, now on 6 deaths. Quaterna as well was 12 and 2 and now 13 and 4. The rest of the team kind of staying on those same kill counts as well. We haven't seen that same impact like we saw in the defense, like we saw in round 7 as well. It feels like an eternity ago when Feuer found that last round, and it almost makes you question why we haven't seen a timeout called yet, Joe, because we're on a very slippery slope right now. They lose this one, they've lost 4 in a row, and suddenly Ice Force might be repeating that 5 rounds in a row scoreline that we saw from Feuer at the start of the game. And Kenny's going to double down on it. What time is this?
It's not looking good for Feuer here, and the real kind of fear now is if Ice Force win this, they get onto 5 rounds themselves. Suddenly, if you take that timeout, Ice Force have all that time to just think about one single round that they need to get to overtime, to at the very least tie things up, at the very least get a point out of this. Feuer, they need to win this round here and now, but things just aren't going their way. 4 versus 3 now, as the Hibana is just tasked with really cleaning up the mess that's been left on the top floor. Benati is still sort of separated from his team behind these barriers, just wild peaks going the way of Feuer trying to find these defenders, but Ice Force now really on the retreat. Only 1 player left, Scarex, on that top floor, just holding it down. The rest realize they can get back to site here. The timer is ticking down, and Ice Force really in a much better position now. The lower that clock gets, the more trouble Feuer are in.
Absolutely, it's now down to 50 seconds remaining. Benati on this rappel has no idea Scarex's position just crouched at the bottom of that very barricade, and well, now he's aware. Definitely, the kill comes in. Shoxel, again, wasting 2 more Excaros than he needed to on that Kiba barrier. Feels like some sloppy decisions are being made here as the time continues to tick down low. Bodolf now taking the swing onto where Scarex was positioned, but there's the kill. C4 from below. Icox is able to get the collection on it. And there's another C4 that can hit come up through. That one doesn't find a kill. Toji still has 1 left in pocket. Well, all of these explosives, Shoxel needs to come up big in his final few seconds. It's almost fully unwinnable. And there's a shotgun from close range. Ice Force Esports, 4 in a row. And they've brought it back to within 1. We were at 1 earlier on, Joe. And again, right, struggling with the pressure here on Chalet in town.
It just seems like Feuer aren't learning from their mistakes. It's the same problem that Ice Force had in their attacks. I don't understand why the Feuer attack there in round 11, that's right, that's how math works, in round 11 wasn't more directed towards Library. That was the key problem with their previous defense. That's where all of their previous attack, that's where it all fell apart. That one player, Scarex, still on that top floor, was allowed to get a triple kill to just end things out. And they've allowed him to just sit there for the entire round again while the rest of their team get taken out. There was no sort of concise push around Library, clearing people out. Obviously, you need a bit of presence around Office. You can't do a top floor clear without clearing the top floor. But you don't need all of your attention around there, or else you're going to fall into that same pitfall. You're going to allow Ice Force to do the same thing, and that's exactly what happened. Once again, Feuer was starved for time, starved for utility when it actually got time to be near the site, and they just died. Simple as. So, Ice Force, they are about to really make a miracle here. They are about to get to overtime. They've got 1 more defense left. They're going to be defending this kitchen dining. No timeout, again, being brought by Feuer here, so no time to really talk out their mistakes, see how they can lock this out. Ice Force really in prime position to bring this to 6-6.
I am nervous for Feuer. I'm going to be honest. We need to see this one pop-up round. Last game, we saw P13 have 2 aces in a row, right? Let's not forget about that. It was kind of the pop-off that the team needed. Loud Esports, after that, they just ran away with it. We need to see a player similar to that. Maybe not acing, but, you know, getting 2-3 kills for Feuer for them to really be in the success here, because they can't get anything done. Scarex clearly finds Gutter and Cortana down already, and Kiri nearly finds a second there. The wallbang's not quite landing. There we go, Budolf, captain, takes it on his shoulders, but Shoxel playing the Grim. Again, we talked about how dangerous it is to actually use that utility, and in the player disadvantage, it's even more so. The Diffuser stranded inside a trophy in the sightlines of so many of these Ice Force defenders. What do you do?
I think you curl up in a ball and try not to cry here, really, for Feuer Frei. Obviously, the round is still winnable. You still have half of it left, but you're lacking on utility. No nades and now no flashes either, as Donati's taken off the board, as Ice Force continue to just leverage this man advantage. It's all to Badolf and Shox, who are on opposite sides of the map as well, so no real opportunity for a clutch here. Badolf can try and go for a ballsy play, try and take this site directly on his own, but he chooses against it, seemingly. Wants to try and take that vertical control from the defense. I imagine Shox will try and meet up with him too as he approaches through that fireplace door, also just trying to find any kills here. As Badolf then taken down 1 versus 4, as Shox is now in the position where the Ash used to be, taken down by that same player from the vertical, and somehow, someway, Ice Force gotten it to overtime.
Oh boy. The only saving grace for Feuer Frei is that they're on the defense here. That's what this game could come down to.
Yep. It seems like both these sides can't attack.
Ice Force chose to start attack, and or at least on overtime, and it's really not working for them.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
I really don't know what to say about the team. It's disastrous, honestly.
Yep, it has been a bit of a, I guess, disaster class from both of these teams when it comes to attacking. They've looked both considerably lost. They've both really sort of dug their heels down. They're not learning from the mistakes. They're not adjusting their game plan. They're both under the kind of perception that, no, if we just keep running this back, keep going for it, it will work. And spoiler alert, it didn't. Feuer Frei let all those rounds slip away from them after getting to that 6-round margin so early on. Ice Force were then able to win those 5 in a row.
Yeah.
And it's left Feuer Frei in a very bad spot, is what I would be saying. But as you said, they get the defense once again. Ice Force made a bit of a gamble starting on the attack, maybe playing it by the stats, and it just didn't work out for them. So if this is really going down to an 8-7, Ice Force must be kicking themselves that they picked attack on overtime.
Yeah, but obviously, how do you predict the utter calamity that we've seen on these attacks from both teams? How do you predict that?
Yep.
It's really difficult to. In hindsight, you come back to it with 20/20 vision, but Fog of War of the present is certainly an oppressive tool. It's a factor that you can't really count for at all. You just have to make your best guess, and there's a bad start. Feuer Frei, Donati taken out 4-11. Not the game wanted from him. Killy, who finds the first kill, jumps in through West Main and takes the player down, takes the pick and takes the initiative in this round, Joe.
Yep, just no real cover there for Donati. I believe he might be the only player actually on that ground floor. Everyone else playing around the basement. Although I think I did just see one in games there, so potentially they rotated up, or potentially they just simply baited their teammate. Donati still is dead, as the very least Carturna is all the way on the top floor trying to regain control, trying to potentially flank around those attackers, but still, they've lost a man, and at the moment that kitchen hatch control is under the possession of the attack.
Yeah.
So that makes going for a default plant much, much easier, though they will be relying on an ace to get in. So that could give Feuer Frei a bit of an opportunity. Ace charges, ace holes even, usually are either crouching or vaulting holes. Very rarely will you get a walk hole. So they could potentially catch the attack on their way in, but still, a couple of shots go the way of the defender. They hide away. The attack have an instant opportunity to go in. They have cover from the hatch as well, as Killy still up there. Although a retake is attempted, but Gutteru can't quite win it. Although another one drops Carturna this time in kitchen. Really just trying to challenge Killy to kill them all, and Killy just does that. Gets a triple in kitchen. Really phenomenal play from him, as it becomes a 1 versus 4 now. Shoxel alone here on the defense. Ice Force look to find match point. And that they do. Killy, fantastic round.
Well, defense was their saving grace, and they've squandered the opportunity to take back the lead. The momentum for Feuer Frei not in their favour, and electing to not take a timeout at any point during that.
Yep, and now it's too late.
It's too late.
You can't remedy that anymore. you can't bring a timeout anymore, or else you give Ice Force the opportunity to talk over what went wrong.
As soon as it's 6-4, that's when you
Yeah.
make the timeout. They've won 3 in a row. You hold the momentum there. And we said that at the time as well. This is where you would take your timeout to talk things through, because as it stands, Feuer Frei the clock. And again, it's going to be another overtime loss on Chalet.
It might just well be if...
Too much for them. They were 6-1 up.
Yeah.
6-1. And right now it looks like Ice Force might just win 7 rounds in a row. They might just take this game 8-6.
The only way this could have gone any worse is if it was 6-0. They are one round away from it being kind of the utterly most embarrassing defeat here, as Ice Force are continuing to just string these rounds together on their defense now, where they were so strong, getting that 5-round streak we were talking about in the second half. Now when we're into extra innings, it's do or die for Feuer Frei, and it's been do and not die for the previous 6 rounds, 7 rounds here, and they've still not really come up on top. So now with even more pressure, I don't know if Feuer Frei are going to perform here at all. I don't know if maybe they'll go out not with a bang but with a whimper here, as Ice Force really looking to seal this in 8-6 fashion on their defense.
They say pressure makes diamonds, but from what we saw last week, from what we are seeing today, it feels like Feuer Frei maybe aren't quite made of the carbon that's needed. They just look like they might crumble.
Yep.
And it's a shame, because we've talked positives about this team. We said that maybe Ice Force had a different look and that they would come back, and Feuer Frei, they proved us wrong. Ice Force still looked lost. And still Ice Force are coming out on top. Still Feuer Frei are on the back foot. It feels like no matter what this Turkish side do, they cannot find wins. They're almost allergic to actually getting victories here in Talent League, because it's another game where they should have found the success. Gattaro at least finds the opening pick, and I feel like we haven't seen a Feuer Frei opening frag for at least 4 rounds. Maybe even since round 7, that round where they won. It feels like it's been Ice Force all the way. Maybe this is a springboard. Maybe this is a chance of redemption to right the wrongs of the past. It just have to wait and see.
Yep, they've still got a lot to deal with though. That top floor, heavily reinforced. They're likely going to be playing that Azami up there as well, so keep a barricade to deal with. Potentially a shield as well from the Frost. That there actually isn't, so it's being played further back. But either way, a lot of utility to deal with here. The Ram being brought to, at the very least, make it a bit uncomfortable, but down below, it's just defenders, so there's no real threat for Scarex at the moment. Obviously, if or when control does get seceded to the attack, those ram holes are going to be much more impactful, but they're kind of running before they walk here. They've yet to actually get this control, so I get it. They're trying to save time by doing things early, trying to maybe use the ram drones as well to cause a bit of noise, cause a bit of confusion. But Ice Force, they've still not been pushed back as of yet. We're still seeing the Azami play around here. These key barriers providing him a lot of security. And Ice Force, as the timer is actually reaching 30 seconds now, Feuer Frei really have to start pulling the trigger now. Yeah, absolutely. Any later, and they risk this being shut down. C4 comes out, but it's a kill from Quaterna. The R4C on that ramp coming up huge. 15 seconds, so vertical starting to be retaken by Icox. The swings come round. There's the player. There's the kill from it. 3 versus 3 now. Diffuser cannot get planted. It's a kill all the way. It's Ice Force all the way. Gattaro can't do naught about it. It's the comeback. It's the win. Ice Force E-Force 8-6. So that was a match that happened. Ice Force, congratulations to them winning those 7 rounds in a row, ending it in 8-6 fashion. But Feuer Frei, you had it all there for an embarrassing defeat on the side of Ice Force. You could have 7-1'd them on the rematch, but
look at that.
You just let it slip through. Look at that string of blue on the scoreboard there.
Amazing.
Ice Force just came alive in that second half, and it might just be a defender-sided Chalet, or it might be a sign that the team finally woke up when their backs were against the wall. I'm not too sure, so let's get Noctish to really break that down.
Hey buddy, what are your thoughts after that one? We can't hear you, you're muted.
Sorry. Okay.
There we go.
I was sorting everything out, and then I realized I'm completely muted. So, here's the thing. It was 6-1.
Yep.
And I was thinking that, okay, I really want to sit down around the table with Koji and grab him by the collar and ask him, what the hell is happening to your team? Then, the whole table changed. 8-6 on Ice Force versus FF was a crazy result. And until it was 6-1, I was thinking that who you are fighting for and who you are fighting with yourself. Why did you brought FF to the map that's already won and you're again playing on it? And then I realized that, okay, I shouldn't have judged that fast. Here's the issue. If you're defending somewhere, especially in Siege, you can literally reinforce every single wall, barricade every single door, sit there and wait for people to come and plant. And this is one of the things that I was completely waiting to see that, okay, FF, you're throwing everything and you're losing every round. So sit there, do not roam, and see what happens. You have been trying everything. Why not this? FF deserved this to lose. Deserved this lose because of the huge throw they did. So, congratulations to Ice Force. I really like their playstyle and their mindset, and they showed off. They have a great ability for a comeback, and this is what FF didn't have, at least in this match.
Yeah, I think it also just shows that it really proves that Ice Force, formerly Team Alpha, it shows that they have that kind of veteran mindset. Koji, I see you in the chat. I don't know how your mental survived all that to bring that string of rounds together, but congratulations to you, 7 in a row. Must be absolutely chuffed with yourself, getting the revenge on the same map against the same opponent 1 day later. It was a tough match, but you got there, so congratulations. Congratulations to everyone on Ice Force there, showing that they have the experience to deal with those difficult situations.
I want a ranked game with Koji.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to send our commiserations to Feuer Frei. That first half looked incredible. Let's not take that away from them. That first half looked so clean. They were shutting down Ice Force, whatever they tried to do. But that second half and the subsequent overtime rounds, there's got to be improvement. Again, Joe, we saw it again. It's possibly a mentality thing. They crumbled under the pressure when they got to map point against Barney's Trusted Dinosaurs. They've crumbled under the pressure again here today. Maybe Chalet just isn't their map.
Yeah, it genuinely might not. You can't just keep running the same map there, so I would hope, give it a week's time, that they go for a different map pick, because Chalet, as you said, might just be cursed for that lineup because they had it all going in their direction, and somehow it's still an L at the end of the day for Feuer Frei.
Yeah, so I think that's going to wrap it up for the stream. Thank you very much, Noctish, for providing us with your analysis throughout the day. We've had Ogon Max with being our observer. We've had Epsilon on the production. It's been a day of games, but that's it from us at Talent League signing off. We've been Pastor and Pooble on the cast. This has been another successful day of the league. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye-bye.